This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the place to go to if you want to set up your own slick-looking website or online store. Hi, I'm over here. You might want to check out what's inside of this box. Right here. You might want to come a bit closer. You can get closer than that. Come on, don't be shy. I've had a COVID test already. Come on, you're just being ridiculous now. Come closer. Well, that's a bit closer than I was thinking. And look what's inside this box, all right? There we are. Just stay about 1 meter away. Then we're fine. Ooh. Now that is quite a bit of a surprise. It's Nikon ZFC. Check that out. Don't ask me what FC stands for, but it is flipping cool. Maybe that's what it is. Do you remember the old Nikon DF? Well, this is a far better looking camera than the DF, if you remember that, was a digital camera with old school aesthetics done way before Fujifilm gave an X. It was a fantastic idea, but missing something to make it a popular choice with the masses. This is how I imagine the DF should look. This is pretty much an FM2, FM3 in a digital body. I mean, if you're a bit of a sucker for the old Nikon FM, and if you've got a Pulse, and you definitely will be, then this will certainly appeal because it looks exactly the same. The only thing that's different is, oh my god, it's got a Tilty Flippy vlogging screen. There will be people that will question why there's a vlogging screen on a camera that looks like an FM, because you never vlogged with an FM, right? But it's still very useful to have a Tilty Flippy screen. It lets you look at how pretty your camera and your face looks at the same time. One of the great features of the DF was the manual exposure dials that decorated the top part of the camera, and that's what they've done with the ZFC. The dials are pretty nice. I mean, they've got a little kind of aluminium, I think it's aluminium surround, so they feel nice to the touch. Kind of an alright clicky sound. That is the ISO dial with the mode dial on the side here. And on the other side, we've got a shutter speed dial and exposure comp, and as a dedicated movie to stills mode switch thing. And you see that tiny little screen? That's for your aperture value right there. You can see it. Well, yeah, I like it. So yeah, dials like the DF, but because this is mirrorless, the size and proportions are closer to the FM. In the hands, the ZFC has the FM vibes nailed down to a T, even though the innards aren't anything drastically new. Specs wise, mostly as a Z50, so yes, you're going to be buying a camera mainly for the looks. But what's wrong with that? When it looks so damn good. For sure, it looks clean AF. And talking about AF, it has the same hybrid AF phase and contrast detector system of the Z50. Because it is essentially a Z50, it is an APS-C 20 megapixel sensor with a Z mount, and this lens right here is just the same as the Z50 kit lens, 1650mm lens, albeit painted silver. The lens that I would definitely get, however, and I don't have that here today, is the new 28mm SE lens f2.8, which looks kind of retro cool, which matches the retro cool of this body. It has that AIS lens look that would complete the manual camera feel. This is a must-have lens to get with the ZFC. And for what I was wondering about the body, the camera body, that is not my own body. It's a magnesium alloy chassis with some kind of fancy plastic-ish covering, but I say plastic-ish, it doesn't feel plasticky. These bits that should be feeling metally do feel quite nice. I mean, they're kind of cool to the touch. I don't know if it's because aircon's here and the camera is cold, but it feels cold to the touch, making it feel metallic. There you go, but plastic. We've got the flap here, and the SD card slot is down there. Anyway, moving on to the Tilty Flippy screen. It doesn't sit completely flush with the body right there, but it's all right. You can also flip it to this side, and it's got kind of a fake leverette, so you can almost pretend that you are in fact using a film camera, especially with these dials. They feel great. They feel where they should be. Those dials are ergonomically fantastically positioned, just as you remembered it with the FM. But the only question is, will they make more lenses with aperture rings? Because that would be all so awesome. One thing is that it seems like the 28mm lens doesn't have the aperture ring seen on actual AIS lenses, which is a shame. That would make it perfect. So the real reason I'm dressed like this is because I'm camouflaged, ready for some nature shooting. Well, not really, that's the Waitrose car park. Along with eye AF and subject tracking, the ZFC also has animal eye AF too. Sadly, no wildlife here, the only animals are in the fridges of Waitrose. And because it is Z-mount, you can mount any of the Z-mount lenses on it, obviously, such as this massive 51.2. I mean, it is quite a small body. This feels good in the hands. Of course, some people might miss a grip, but that is exactly how they were made. You've just got to love cameras this size. They're kind of pocketable if you take the lens off it, especially this lens. And one nice touch is the round viewfinder. It's a modern take of the old school rings. It's made of rubber, which are a blessing for the coating of my glasses. Well, it's quite an interesting move to put a Tilty Flippy screen like this on the ZFC, not just because this is a retro style camera, but also because this is going to appeal to vloggers. And this is me vlogging on the ZFC. The shutter speed is probably a bit wrong. This is me vlogging on the ZFC with a 14 to 24mm f2.8 lens. I'm stuck inside the Nikon HQ canteen doing this video about the ZFC, and I think the video looks pretty alright. Unlike the full-frame Zs, there's no in-body stabilization. There is electronic VR, but I'd rather opt for the 16 to 50 lens, which has 4.5 stops of VR. It's going to be good for vlogging. With the full-frame Z lenses, without VR, your vlogs might end up a bit shaky. With the 1650 VR, I thought the Z50 could have been a good vlogging camera if it wasn't for the screen that flipped down, making it not so useful on vlogging sticks. The ZFC, they've got that sorted, and well, they've got some vlogging kits ready for it too. Now, interestingly, somebody has put this on a table, which I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to photograph or do this. One interesting thing with the dials is that you can't choose auto mode, you can't choose auto ISO. You've got the mode dial, but the shutter speed, if you just use the dials here, it's all manually controlled, as long as you've got a manual mode here. So when you put it to aperture priority, it doesn't matter what setting you've got it on that dial, it chooses the shutter speed for you. And shutter priority, obviously you pick the shutter speed here, and you've got P mode, auto mode. Image quality should look pretty much the same as Z50. It's essentially Z50 inside. But that's no bad thing, right? See, that's why a Tilty Flippy screen is useful. You know what? I think I like the back cover more. That was a better subject to eat. The other thing which is not like an FM is that this has a 5 FPS burst, or extended to 11 FPS. And that is pretty much all you need to know about it. Oh, and it looks cool. Essentially, this is going for the ghoulies of the Fujifilm X series, and why not? Because Nikon has such a fantastic history in making good-looking cameras, and this is just another one. For £899, 1,049 euros, I guess it's around that in USD, there's not much to dislike about it. I guess one thing is that there aren't many DX-only Z lenses to choose from, 4, including the new 28mm, and I really think they should make the retro-style lenses with an aperture ring. But the key question that hasn't been answered is, what does the C in ZFC stand for? Compact? Cheap? Crop? Well, perhaps if this is a hit, we might also convince Nikon to take the C out and make a full-frame ZF. How amazing would that be? This is sponsored by Squarespace. If you want to set up your own website, online store, just your own domain, it's super easy to get started with Squarespace, with a slick, easy-to-use interface filled with a plethora of templates to choose from, and with 24/7 customer service to help you out if you need it. You can give it a try with a 14-day free trial and 10% off your first order by using this link and discount code.